Hey guys, so welcome back to another video. Kind of impromptu, but it was something something I watched or some videos I watched, and I took some of the questions from them and I wrote them down here in my notebook. Um, and what they were questions to never ask schizophrenic people. Um, and I don't believe there are questions you don't ask. Well, I guess there are questions you don't want to ask some people with schizophrenia, right? And that you shouldn't ask people with schizophrenia if you don't have it, simply because it might come off as rude. So before you ever ask anybody with a mental illness or disorder, um, before asking them any question, especially when you know they have the disorder, the illness. Um, is my mic muted? No, it's not. Okay. um, if you know somebody with a mental illness or disorder, um, please make sure if you're going to ask them any questions, let them know that you're going to ask them a question, ask them if it's okay, and especially let them know on what kind of level the question is going to be. Don't just blurt out questions. Like, be fucking, you know, respectful of them and their illness and their disease. That's all I ask for people who might be watching this and they don't have a mental illness, but they find things like this to be curious. I'm one of the few people that exist who is very open about their mental health illness and disorders. You know, I'm just that's the way I am. I'm open about it, so I have no problem even answering the hardest questions. I don't get offended, and I just it doesn't bother me. But there are people out there that it does bother. And there are people who just they don't want to talk about it. Um, so I wrote down a list of things that people have asked other people with schizophrenia, and as a person with schizophrenia, I would like to address these answers in my own opinion. And again, all the answers I give are pretty much just going to be my own opinion from my own personal experience. Um, so yeah, let's get started. Also, sorry about that window. The sun is setting right now, and the light looks very bright coming from that window. So if that's distracting, I'm very sorry, but is what it is, right? So the first question is, does having schizophrenia mean you have a split personality? And I believe I've talked about this before in one of my videos, and the answer to that is absolutely not. Not everybody who has schizophrenia means you have split personality, and really, split personality isn't really always. That's kind of a separate thing within itself. And really, when you're talking about schizophrenic people having a split personality, it's more of a split mentality, rather than a personality. Because usually, people that have the split personality disorder, I don't even know if that's a real thing in psychology or if that's just a thing people have made up. But I know there it does exist where people have multiple personalities. I think it's multiple personality disorder, right? Is the real way it's said. I could be wrong. I'm not gonna look it up, but you could look it up yourself to find out. I'll probably go look it up after this video, but um, you know, so having split mindsets for some people, and that the fact that they got one thing going on over here and another thing going on over here, that could be true. But usually with schizophrenia, the the hardcore symptoms are so all consuming and they're so strong, um, that I'm sorry, my medications make me forget words a lot, so or they make me forget my train of thought. Like, I'll be thinking of one thing to say, and then I'll just draw a blank on the words I'm looking for, on the thoughts I'm trying to get out. I don't, well, so I think that for me, I don't know if that's my medication. I don't know if that's because of the schizophrenia. Because I can't really go back and tell where it started, when my schizophrenia started or when I started taking medications. I don't know. But that is a problem I have, so I'm sorry if I just go blank sometimes on my videos. That's just a part of how I am now. So does it mean you have a split personality? I don't think so. Like, for me personally, I didn't, and I don't. Um, so I think people who do, it's very rare. And I think that, along with the uh, the media and the way the media sets things up and the way they portray schizophrenia, um, that kind of, you see that all the time. The characters have split personalities, but just because it's in the movies and just because it's on TV doesn't make it true, right? You can't believe everything you see on the TV. Um, the next question is, sh shouldn't you be in an institution? No. I mean, let's be honest. There's some people that need to be in a mental hospital, and some people who need to be there for the remainder of their lives, unfortunately, because their mental health disorders and illnesses are so bad. But usually those are people with really, really severe forms of mental health disorders. But there's plenty of us. I think there's more people who have mental illnesses like schizophrenia who can live perfectly, air quotes, normal lives, right? Because what the fuck is normal? Um, so it's like, I'm living what I consider to be a perfectly normal life. I mean, I have friends. I go out places with them. I go places. I do things. I drive my car. I go to school for psychology, of all things, right? Um, so should everybody that has schizophrenia be in an institution? Because again, the movies and the TV shows, they make it seem like, oh, these people are crazy, these people are dangerous. Um, you know, these people are, they don't belong in society. And with that kind of mentality, you're going to tell me that people with schizophrenia can't be functioning in normal society. You tell me people with bipolar can't function in normal society. People with depression and anxiety can't function in normal society. And we should all just be in mental health institutions. If that was the case, almost everybody in the world would be, or at least in the USA, if that was a true thing, would be stuck in a mental institution, because almost everybody in America experiences anxiety and depression, at least, right? And around the world. And I think everybody experiences anxiety and depression to an extent. It's just usually those of us with that have anxiety and depression are people who have it to an extreme form. You know what I mean? So, no, I don't belong in a mental institution. I mean, I've been in one. I mean, I went to one when I first was going through it, because I I didn't didn't know what was going on, and I felt that was a place I needed to be at the time, and it helped me out. So yeah, that's just me personally. But do I think everybody with schizophrenia needs to be in a mental institution? No. Um, well, here's a good one. Remember, it's all in your head. That's a good one you want to hear when you have schizophrenia, right? and people think they can just fix you by telling you it's all in your head. It's nothing to worry about. Okay, bud, you try doing it. Um, that's all I gotta say about that one. That one blows me away. Um, do the voices tell you to hurt people? Um, no, they don't. They might for some people. Um, I never, like I said, for me, I never had voices, right? So I had intrusive thoughts, which is on par, which mine, personally, my intrusive thoughts were on par, and intrusive thoughts in general are on par with hearing voices. They're just in a different way, and they come in the form of your thoughts rather than hearing audible voices or voices in your head. You're hearing your own thoughts, right? Which obviously comes in the form of your own voice in your head. So it's your own thoughts that intrude on your regular thoughts that become all consuming, and that was my experience with intrusive thoughts. So people with voices, like for me, my thoughts, like I've explained before, were about hurting myself, hurting others, hurting animals, hurting inanimate objects, you know. So yeah, I mean, for some people, the voices might tell them really bad things. I mean, I've met people with who heard voices that had homicidal ideations. Um, but does that mean that everybody with schizophrenia has those kinds of voices in their heads? No, there's plenty of people who have voices that tell them positive things, and they have a personal coach in their head all the time, right? Um, then there's people that have voices that tell them all kinds of other different things. That I mean, just because the movies make it out to seem like people with schizophrenia are out to hurt people, and yeah, I mean that's what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word, but let's just say it's not true, okay? Um, just because people have voices in their head does not mean in any way, shape, or form that they're having voices tell them to hurt people. Like I said, that can happen in some people, but that's in rare cases. Most people with schizophrenia, their voices don't tell them to hurt people. Um, that's a rare thing that happens. And that's usually in more serious cases of schizophrenia. Um, the next question is do you have schizophrenia because you did drugs? And let's be honest about that one. For some people who did do drugs, who smoked a lot of weed, who did crack, who did meth, who did heroin, who did any kind of drug for an extended period of time, you'll find them usually later in life coming down with some kind of mental health illness, right, or some mental disability because the chemicals they put into their body mess with the chemical imbalances in their brain. So now they have permanent chemical imbalances, right, that are causing, oh, excuse me, that are causing um, their 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 mental disorders or their mental illnesses, right? So sometimes schizophrenia, yes, can be caused by drug use. But is it always caused by drug use? No. I never used drugs. Um, I'm the kind of person I've never touched a drug except for prescription drugs that my doctors gave me, obviously, for my schizophrenia. But before that, I took an antidepressant and anti-anxiety meds for like a couple of weeks before I didn't take them anymore. Um, and that's all I ever took. And the doctor prescribed them. And that's not taking drugs, that's taking something to help you out in your current mental health state, right? Um, when we say doing drugs, we're talking about abusing drugs. Um, so was I ever a drug user or abuser? No, absolutely not. I never smoked weed, never did crack, never did heroin, never did meth. Any kind of drugs you could think of, I never did them. I had like my parents. always told me the stories about them doing drugs, and I've heard plenty of other people growing up telling me about their stories, and it just all their stories just kept me away from them. And with drinking too, same thing. I've never drank alcohol in my life, so um, because of all the stories I heard, and because of all the bad things that I heard can happen to you from doing drugs and drinking alcohol, like I don't want any part of it, you know. So, um, do those things always cause schizophrenia? Absolutely not. But can they? Yes. Um, Mine didn't. Mine just developed. So, um, the next question is, you must be really creative. Um, if you heard that, by the way, it said join your channel. I'm on TeamSpeak right now with in the away from keyboard channel. With my friends that I play games with sometimes. I just mostly talk with them now. But if you heard that, that's what it was about. So the next question is, you must be really creative. Um, I'm not certain that schizophrenia and creativity one causes the other. There's plenty of artists out there that are creative. That doesn't mean they're schizophrenic, right? That doesn't mean artists are schizophrenic. Um, Likewise, that doesn't mean that schizophrenic people are creative, but there are a lot of very creative schizophrenics, and but usually when people say creative, they're alluding to um, things other than uh, artistic creativity, right? Or imagination creativity. They're trying to say it in a hurtful way. So, but I mean, I'm a creative person, so I mean, I don't know. Who's to say? Maybe it is because I have schizophrenia. I don't know. Maybe I can contribute it to that. I never really thought about it that way, but who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Um, the last question is, will you ever be able to live a normal life? Absolutely. um, again, what is it? What the hell is normal? One of the first things you learn in psychology is there's no such thing as normal. Um, so yeah, there's normality is societal. It's whatever society says is normal is normal. It's normal is crafted and created by people, right? So even normal people are not normal by any means. um, but I guess in the sense in the way we use normal today, right? Would I guess there what would people be alluding to by saying living a normal life? Um, that's a good question, right? Because what is normal? um, that's what when you don't understand what normal is, because what is normal, um, when you try to think about what does it mean for one to live a normal life, that's a difficult question to answer. What would be a normal life? You know, I guess in the sense of can you have a job? Would you be able to make friends? Would you be able to go places? Would you be able to live on your own without the need of help? And the answer to all those things is yeah, absolutely you can with schizophrenia. You can live a completely normal life in that aspect. Um, I know I do. The only reason I'm living with my parents is because I'm unemployed right now and I'm going to school full time. So, um, I mean, that's the only reason I'm still with my parents. And plus, I live in California. Even if I had a job, there's no way I'd be able to afford to live anywhere. I already tried when I was employed back then before I got schizophrenia. Um, and I couldn't afford to live on my own. I tried, but I couldn't afford it. So yeah, those are just some questions. I mean, there's a lot more questions people ask for people who have schizophrenia that I find to be a bit funny sometimes. Sorry, I got interrupted. I had to turn my mic off there for a second. Um, but anyways, those are just some questions that people ask others with schizophrenia. Um, and I'm willing to answer them. Some of them I found to be funny, but I guess to people without schizophrenia, they're serious questions. Some of them misguided, albeit, but anyways, that's gonna be it for this video, and my next video, stay in tune for my next video. That's gonna be about some of these questions come into are some modern misconceptions um, about schizophrenia and people with schizophrenia. I think I covered a lot of it here, but there are a lot of other misconceptions that people have about people with schizophrenia that that I want to address because somebody asked me in the comment section. So that was actually going to be supposed to be this video, but I have to do some research on it first. So I haven't done any research because I'm sure there's a lot of other misconceptions, and the misconceptions that I know of about that people have made about me with schizophrenia. Um, you know, so I want to gather more and I want to address them. So that'll be the next video, and hope you enjoyed this one. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see y'all later.